Did you know that long before Columbus, North America was crisscrossed by a vast and sophisticated network of trade and culture, connecting diverse peoples across thousands of miles? Forget the image of isolated tribes. We're talking about a continent-wide web of ancient civilizations, a forgotten superhighway of ideas, goods, and innovations. Let's dive into the story of this incredible network. When we think of ancient civilizations, our minds often jump to Egypt, Rome, or the Maya. But right here in North America, an equally fascinating story unfolded. For thousands of years, advanced societies flourished, building massive cities, incredible earthworks, and complex social structures. And the key to their success, they were all connected. Our journey begins around 3,500 years ago in Louisiana, at a site called Poverty Point. This isn't just a collection of old mounds. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the earliest examples of large-scale construction in North America. Imagine massive concentric earthen ridges forming a semicircle over half a mile wide with a huge central plaza. People gathered here for ceremonies, trade, and community life. But what's truly mind-blowing is what archaeologists found there. We're talking about materials from all over the continent. Copper from the Great Lakes region over 1,000 miles to the north. Stone tools made from flint sourced from the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys. Soapstone from the Appalachian Mountains in Georgia and Alabama. This wasn't accidental. Poverty Point was a major hub, a bustling trade center that drew people and resources from incredible distances. It was the start of something big. Fast forward a few hundred years and we see the rise of the Adena and Hopewell cultures, primarily centered in the Ohio River Valley. These weren't empires in the traditional sense, but what archaeologists call an interaction sphere. Think of it as a shared cultural and religious system that connected hundreds of independent communities. The Hopewell people are famous for their monumental earthworks. We're talking about massive geometric shapes, circles, squares, octagons so precise, you'd think they were designed with modern tools. The Newark earthworks in Ohio, for instance, are so vast and complex they're aligned to astronomical events like the moon's 18.6-year cycle. This required sophisticated knowledge of mathematics and astronomy passed down through generations. And just like at Poverty Point, the evidence of a continent-wide network is undeniable. At Hopewell sites, we find obsidian from Yellowstone, grizzly bear teeth from the Rocky Mountains, shark teeth and seashells from the Gulf of Mexico, and mica from the Carolinas. These weren't just everyday items. They were precious, exotic goods, likely used in important rituals and to signify high status. How did they move all this stuff? The rivers were their highways. The Mississippi, Ohio, Missouri, and their countless tributaries formed a natural transportation system. People would have traveled in dugout canoes, carrying goods, sharing stories, and spreading new ideas. This network wasn't just about trading rocks and shells. It was about connecting people. It allowed for the exchange of technology, like new farming techniques for corn, beans, and squash, which revolutionized societies across the continent. It also spread artistic styles and religious beliefs, creating a shared cultural landscape. Now, let's travel further south and west to the heart of the continent, to the greatest city of ancient North America, Cahokia, located near modern-day St. Louis. Cahokia was a metropolis that peaked around the year 1100 AD at its height. It was larger than London was at the time, with a population of maybe 20,000 people living in the city and tens of thousands more in the surrounding farmlands. The centerpiece of Cahokia is the spectacular Monk's Mound, a colossal earthen pyramid that's as taller than a 10-story building and covers more area at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza, standing on top of it. You can imagine the city spread out below a vast central plaza, dozens of smaller mounds, and thousands of thatched roof houses. It was a true urban center. Cahokia was the capital of what's known as the Mississippian culture, which dominated the American Midwest and Southeast for centuries. It was a complex, hierarchical society with powerful chiefs, priests, artisans, and farmers. And Cahokia was the undisputed center of their world. The influence of Cahokia, its religion, its art, and its social structure radiated outwards for hundreds of miles. We find Cahokia-style pottery and artifacts at sites all the way from Wisconsin down to Florida. The Cahokian network was robust. They controlled the trade of essential resources like salt and high-quality flint. They exported their distinct pottery and religious icons. In return, they imported luxury goods like copper from the Great Lakes and marine shells from the Gulf Coast, which their artisans crafted into beautiful jewelry and ceremonial objects. The city was a melting pot, a place where people from distant lands came to trade, to worship, and to be part of something grand. But the network didn't stop there. Let's head to the desert southwest, to the world of the ancestral Pueblos. Here, in the harsh but beautiful landscape of the Four Corners region, another incredible civilization emerged. We're talking about the master architects who built the stunning cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde and the great houses of Chaco Canyon. Chaco Canyon, in particular, was the ceremonial and political center of the Pueblo world for over 300 years. Between 850 and 1150 AD, its inhabitants constructed massive multi-story stone buildings, or great houses, with hundreds of rooms. Pueblo Bonito is the most famous, a masterpiece of masonry and planning. What's fascinating is the network that connected Chaco to the outside world. Archaeologists have mapped hundreds of miles of ancient roads, some up to 30 feet wide, radiating out from Chaco Canyon in perfectly straight lines. These weren't just footpaths, they were engineered roadways that cut across mesas and valleys. They connected Chaco to over 150 outlying communities, creating a unified regional system. And the trade. The Chacoans imported turquoise from mines hundreds of miles away, which they crafted into exquisite jewelry. And incredibly, they also imported exotic goods from Mesoamerica, the lands of the Toltecs and later the Aztecs. We're talking about macaw feathers and even copper bells. evidence of a long-distance trade route stretching deep into what is now Mexico. This shows that the North American network wasn't entirely isolated. It had connections to the great civilizations of Central America. So, what happened to these vast networks? It's complex, and there's no single answer. For Cahokia, a combination of climate change, resource depletion, and social unrest likely led to its decline around 1350 AD. The city was abandoned, but its cultural legacy, the Mississippian way of life, continued in new centers across the southeast. In the southwest, a major drought in the late 1200s forced the ancestral Pueblones to abandon their great houses and cliff dwellings in places like Chaco and Mesa Verde. They migrated and established new communities like the modern-day Pueblo tribes of Arizona and New Mexico, carrying their traditions with them. The story of North America's ancient civilization network is a powerful reminder that this continent has a deep, rich, and interconnected history that stretches back thousands of years. From the traders at Poverty Point to the astronomers of the Hopewell, the city builders of Cahokia, and the architects of Chaco, these societies were innovative, sophisticated, and deeply connected to their world and to each other. They built a civilization not of stone temples that would last forever, but of people, ideas, and relationships networked that shaped the continent long before the first European ships arrived. It's a history that's all around us, buried just beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered. Thanks for joining me on this journey through ancient North America. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the past. See you next time.